I didn't realize you can lose your family in a single afternoon. Not in a dramatic movie way. More like you blink, and suddenly you're the villain in a story you didn't write. And everyone acts like it's your fault for not reading the script sooner. I bought the house when I was 30, not a mansion, not a dream home with marble floors and a fountain. Just a small, two-bedroom place 2 hours from the city, close enough to drive to on a Friday night, and far enough that no one could stop by. That was the whole point. I didn't tell anyone in my family I was even looking. Because my family has this talent. They hear the word yours and immediately translate it into ours. Growing up, my sister, Lila, was the sun. Everything orbited around her. Lila was artistic, which meant when she quit jobs, it was exploring her path. When I worked overtime, it was being uptight. Lila was sensitive, which meant if you told her the truth, you were mean. If she screamed at you, it was just emotions. And my parents, they didn't even pretend to hide it. If I did well in school, it was expected. If Lila did okay, it was celebrated. If I asked for help with college, it was figure it out. If Lila needed a fresh start, there was always money. I learned early that in our family, being responsible didn't make you loved. It made you useful. By the time I was 30, I had the stable job, the savings account, and the quiet exhaustion that comes from always being the one who handles things. I didn't hate my family, not exactly. I just didn't trust them with access to my life. So when my lease ended and my landlord raised rent again, I decided to do something selfish. I bought a place that belonged to me, a place no one could threaten to take away. I found it by accident, scrolling listings after midnight. It was a little dated but clean. A small porch, a decent kitchen, a backyard that backed up to a line of trees. The realtor tried to hype it up like it was a resort. But I saw something else. Silence. Privacy. A door I could close without having to justify it. I put in an offer. It was accepted. I signed papers with shaking hands, not because I was scared of debt, but because I couldn't believe I was doing something for myself. I took a photo of the keys in my palm and stared at it for a long time. Then I didn't send it to anyone. For the first month, the house felt like a secret. I drove out alone on weekends. I painted the bedroom. I replaced old light fixtures. I planted herbs in the backyard, even though I'd never successfully kept anything alive. I bought mismatched thrift store furniture and didn't care. I drank coffee on the porch like I was auditioning for a calmer version of myself. It was the first time in years I could hear my own thoughts without someone arguing with them. And then, inevitably, I made one tiny mistake. I told my mom. Not because I wanted to, because I was naive enough to believe that if I shared something small, it would stay small. It was a Tuesday evening phone call. She asked what I'd been up to. I said, casually, like it didn't matter, "Oh, I bought a little place outside the city." The silence on the other end sharpened. "A place?" she repeated, too calmly. "Yeah," I said. "Just a small house. Nothing crazy." "Oh," she said. "Well, that's something." I should have ended the call right there. But then she did what she always did. She made it sound like I was keeping secrets out of spite. "Why didn't you tell us?" she asked, like I'd betrayed her. "I wasn't hiding it," I lied. "It just happened fast," she hummed. And then, in the same tone she used when she wanted gossip at church, she said, "And where is it exactly?" I gave her a vague area. I didn't give her the address. I thought that would protect me. It did not. 2 days later, my sister texted me. "Lila, OMG, Mom says you bought a house? Proud of you. Lila, send pics." I stared at the screen. Lila and I had a relationship that looked friendly from far away, but up close it was mostly her asking for things and me deciding which version of myself I could afford to be. I sent one photo, a wide shot of the porch. No street number, no identifying landmarks. She responded immediately. "Lila, so cute. It's giving healing era, LOL. Lila, You should totally have us over sometime. Us, not me. Not, I'd love to see it. Us. I didn't answer. For a few weeks, it stayed quiet. I relaxed. I went back to thinking the house could still be mine. Then, one Sunday, my mom called again. "We're thinking of coming out next weekend," she said. My grip tightened on the phone. "Coming out where?" "To see your little house," she said, like it was adorable I'd tried to keep it private. "Your father's been curious." "I'm actually busy next weekend," I said. "You're always busy," she replied, sweet as poison. "We're family. It shouldn't be a big deal." "It's not a big deal," I said carefully. "I just want some time to settle in." She sighed dramatically. "You make everything so complicated." There it was, the familiar pressure, the guilt, the implication that boundaries were a personal attack. "I'll let you know," I said. She didn't like that. "I don't understand why you're being like this," she said. "It's just a house." It was never just a house. I ended up giving them a date 2 weeks later. Not because I wanted them there, because my mother has a way of escalating when she doesn't get what she wants. She'll call twice a day, then she'll involve other relatives, then suddenly you're getting texts from an aunt you haven't seen in 3 years asking why you're freezing out your own mother. So I picked a Saturday, a controlled visit, 2 hours, lunch, tour, goodbye. I told myself I could manage that. They arrived in a single car, Mom, Dad, Lila. Lila bounced out like she owned the air, wearing sunglasses and a giant smile. "Oh my God," she said loudly. "This is adorable." My mom kissed my cheek like she was greeting a coworker. My dad gave me a stiff hug. The whole time, my stomach felt like it was bracing for impact. I showed them the porch, the living room, the kitchen, the bedrooms. Lila wandered off without asking, opening doors, peeking into closets. "Lila," I said, trying to keep my voice light, "please don't go through my stuff." She looked at me like I'd asked her not to breathe. "I'm just looking," she said. "Relax." My mom laughed. "Oh, don't be so sensitive." I smiled like I wasn't hearing echoes of my childhood. At lunch, my mom kept saying "we" in a way that made my skin crawl. "We could put curtains here. We should get you a nicer couch. We'll have to repaint this room." At one point, she said, "This would be perfect for holidays." I looked up. "Holidays?" "Of course," she said. "It's closer to the trees. It's cozy. We could do Thanksgiving here." My fork paused midair. I wasn't planning on hosting Thanksgiving. My mom's smile stayed in place, but her eyes sharpened. "Well, not just you," she said. "All of us. Together." Lila chimed in immediately. "Yeah, it would be so fun, like a family tradition." I felt trapped in my own dining room. "I bought this place for quiet weekends," I said. "Not family events." My dad finally spoke. "You've always been a loner." It wasn't an observation. It was a criticism. After they left, I walked through the house and checked every door. Not because anything was missing, because something felt touched, like my space had been handled. I told myself I was overreacting. That night, I made tea and sat on the porch, trying to let the tension drain out. Then my phone buzzed, a text from my mom. "Mom, we had such a lovely time today. Your father agrees. It's a great family place." I stared at the message, feeling my chest tighten. A great family place. Not your place, not your home. A resource, a location, a thing that could be assigned a purpose. The next week, Lila started calling me more. That alone was suspicious. She'd FaceTime while walking, chatting like we were best friends. She'd send memes. She'd ask little questions. "What's the internet like out there? Do you have a spare key? Is there a grocery store nearby?" I answered vaguely, and then she asked the question that made my blood run cold. "So, if I ever needed somewhere to stay for a bit," she said lightly, "you'd have room, right?" I laughed once, because I didn't know what else to do. Why would you need somewhere to stay? She sighed dramatically. I'm just thinking. Life is hard. Rent is insane. Mom says you have that extra bedroom. There it was. My mother had already been discussing my spare room like it was a community donation. I'm not looking for a roommate, I said. Oh my God, Lila said, offended instantly. I'm not asking to move in. I'm just saying, it's nice to know family has family. I heard her smile through the phone, the way she weaponized sweetness. I ended the call quickly. Then I sat in silence, realizing something ugly. They weren't asking permission. They were testing my resistance. 2 Fridays later, I left work early. It had been a rough week, and I'd been craving the house all day. I wanted one quiet night, just me, a frozen pizza, and a dumb movie. I drove out as the sun was setting, feeling my shoulders loosen with every mile. When I turned onto my street, my headlights swept across something in the driveway. A van. Not mine. A moving van. For a second, my brain refused to process it, like it was a random vehicle and I'd simply taken a wrong turn. Then I saw the backyard light on. My backyard light. I pulled into the street and stopped, heart pounding. And then my front door opened, and my mother stepped onto my porch like she lived there. Behind her, I saw boxes, so many boxes, and my sister's voice, bright, excited, coming from inside my house. Put that one in the second bedroom. I sat there with my hands locked around the steering wheel, staring straight ahead, trying to decide whether this was real. My mom waved at me cheerfully, like I'd arrived late to my own surprise party. I got out of the car. My legs felt numb. As I walked up the driveway, my mom smiled wide and said the words that changed everything. Oh good, you're here. We didn't want to start without you. I stepped onto the porch. I looked past her into the living room, and I saw my sister's furniture. A lamp I recognized, a chair with a torn armrest, a stack of plastic storage bins with her handwriting on the labels. My voice came out thin. What is this? My mom blinked, as if she didn't understand the question. This? She said brightly. Oh, Lila's moving in for a little while. I felt a sharp ringing in my ears. No, I said. My mother laughed like I'd made a joke. Don't be dramatic, she said. It's just temporary. I stared at her. You can't just move her in. My mom's smile tightened. Why not? Because it's my house, I wanted to scream. But I already knew the answer she'd give, so instead I said very clearly, Get the boxes out of my house. Her eyes hardened instantly. You are unbelievable, she snapped. We're family. I looked at the moving van, then at my living room full of my sister's life, then back at my mother, who was standing between me and my own front door like a gatekeeper. And I realized, with a cold certainty, this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a takeover. My sister appeared behind my mom, holding a roll of packing tape, smiling like it was Christmas morning. Surprise, she said. I didn't move. Lila's smile wavered slightly. Come on, don't make it weird. I heard myself ask very quietly, How did you get in? My mom lifted her chin, proud. We had a key made, she said. I felt my stomach drop. A key? I repeated. Lila shrugged. Mom had yours for emergencies. Relax. Emergencies. Like my sister needing a free place to live. I looked at them, my mother, my sister, standing in my doorway like this was normal. And for the first time, I understood exactly how they'd always seen me. Not as a person, as a solution. I took one step back. My mom narrowed her eyes. What are you doing? I pulled my phone out of my pocket, hands shaking. I'm calling someone, I said. Lila laughed nervously. Who? Dad? No, I said. And as I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the number, my mom's voice sharpened like a knife. If you call the police on your own family, she said, You will regret it." I looked up at her, and I realized I was already regretting something. Not calling the police, but waiting this long to stop pretending. I didn't answer my mother right away, not because I was afraid of her threat, but because something in me finally went quiet. The part that always tried to explain, the part that hoped this time would be different. That part sat down and stopped talking. I stepped off the porch and back onto the driveway, putting physical space between myself and my own front door. My mother followed me, her voice dropping into the tone she used when she wanted control back. "Let's not do anything stupid," she said. "You're overreacting." I looked at the moving van again, the boxes, my sister's handwriting. "This was planned," I said. She didn't deny it. "Well, of course it was planned," she replied, irritated now. "Lila can't just sleep in her car." "That was never my problem," I said. Lila appeared beside her, suddenly wounded. "Wow, so that's how you feel?" I didn't respond, because if I did, I would have said something unforgivable. My phone buzzed in my hand. A text from my father. "Dad, what's going on? Your mom says you're upset." I stared at the screen, then typed slowly. "Me. They moved Lila into my house without asking. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Dad, it's temporary." There it was, the word that had excused everything my entire life. Temporary meant indefinite. Temporary meant until you give up. My mother stepped closer, lowering her voice like we were conspiring together. "Listen," she said. "You have space. Lila needs help. You've always been good at handling things." I felt a bitter smile tug at my mouth. Handling things. That was what they called it when I absorbed their problems. "I'm not doing this," I said. My mom sighed dramatically. "Why are you being so selfish?" I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time the guilt didn't land. Behind her, Lila had already started unpacking. I could hear drawers opening. My drawers. I stepped forward. "Stop," I said. Lila froze, tape in hand. "This is my house," I said. "You don't have permission to be here." My mom's face hardened completely now. "Do not talk to your sister like that." "I'm not talking," I said. "I'm setting a boundary." She scoffed. "You always loved that word. Boundary. Like it excuses cruelty." I laughed once, short and sharp. "You broke into my house," I said, "and you're calling me cruel." That's when my mom crossed a line she could never uncross. She stepped fully inside and closed the door behind her. "This conversation is over," she said. "We'll talk when you calm down." Something inside me snapped. Not loudly, cleanly. I reached for my phone again. "I'm calling the police," I said. Lila gasped. "Are you serious right now?" My mom's eyes flashed. "Don't you dare!" I pressed the screen. The operator answered calmly, professionally. I explained the situation. "My family entered my home without permission," I said. "They changed the locks and are attempting to move someone in." My mother stared at me in disbelief. "You're insane," she hissed. "Hang up." I didn't. The police arrived faster than I expected. 2 officers, neutral faces, calm posture. They asked for identification, ownership documents. I handed over my phone, my ID, my mortgage app. My mother tried to talk over me. "This is a family dispute," she said loudly. "She's emotional." One officer held up a hand. "Ma'am," he said, "we'll get to you." That sentence alone felt like oxygen. They asked my mother how she got the key. She hesitated. "Well, I had one. For emergencies." "And did the homeowner give you permission to enter today?" the officer asked. My mother looked at me, then away. "No," she admitted. The officer nodded. "Then you need to leave the property." Lila started crying. "This is ridiculous," she sobbed. "I have nowhere else to go." I said nothing, because if I spoke, I might cave. The officers supervised as boxes were moved back into the van. Lila cried the entire time. My mom stood rigid, furious, whispering things under her breath. My dad arrived halfway through, breathless, confused. He looked at the scene. Van, boxes, police, and his shoulders slumped. "You didn't have to call them," he said to me quietly. "Yes," I replied. "I did." After they left, the house felt hollow, not peaceful, exposed. I walked through every room, touching the walls like I needed to remind myself they were real. I changed the locks that night, every single one. I slept with the lights on. The fallout was immediate. My phone exploded. Aunts, cousins, family friends. "What happened?" "Your mother is devastated. How could you do that to Lila? You embarrassed the family." I didn't respond. For the first time, I let the silence speak. 3 days later, my mother showed up again, this time without boxes. She stood on the porch, arms crossed. "I want to talk," she said. I didn't open the door. "We have nothing to talk about," I replied through the glass. She leaned closer. "You chose strangers over your own family." I laughed softly. "No," I said. "I chose myself." Her eyes filled with anger. "Don't come crying to us when you need help," she snapped. I met her gaze. "I already know you won't help," I said. "You never did." She left without another word. Weeks passed, then months. The house slowly became mine again. I repainted the walls, bought new furniture. I stopped jumping when my phone rang. But something else happened too. The guilt didn't go away. It transformed. Some nights, I lay awake wondering if I'd gone too far, if calling the police was unforgivable, if I'd overreacted. That voice sounded suspiciously like my mother. One evening, my sister messaged me. "Lila, I hope you're happy." I stared at the screen, then typed back. "Me, I'm safe." She didn't reply. My dad called a week later. He sounded older. "Your mom's been telling everyone you broke her heart," he said. "I didn't," I replied. "I just stopped letting her run my life." He sighed. "You could apologize." "For what?" There was a long pause. "I don't know," he admitted. "Keeping the peace." I closed my eyes. "I kept the peace for 30 years, I said. It almost broke me. That was the last real conversation we had. After that, contact faded. Birthdays passed quietly. Holidays came and went. Sometimes I missed them. Sometimes I didn't. One afternoon, months later, I found something in a drawer. The spare key, the one I'd forgotten existed. I held it in my palm for a long time, then I threw it away. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Because families like mine don't let go easily. They just change tactics. And when they did, it wasn't my house they came after next. It was my reputation. I didn't realize how much power my family still had over me until they stopped talking to me directly. That's how it started. Not with apologies, not with confrontation, with whispers. It began quietly, the way these things always do. A coworker asked me, half joking, "So, everything okay with your parents?" I laughed it off. "Why?" She shrugged. "Oh, no reason. Just heard something through a friend." That night, an old college acquaintance messaged me out of nowhere. Her. "Hey, random question. Are you doing okay lately?" Her. "I heard you've been having a rough time." I stared at my phone, my chest tightening. Rough time. That was generous. A week later, my aunt posted something vague on Facebook. It's heartbreaking when children turn their backs on the people who gave them everything. No names, no details, but everyone knew. The comments filled quickly. Healing prayers. Family is family. So sad. I didn't comment. I didn't react. But I felt it. That's when I understood the shift. They weren't trying to get back into my house. They were trying to get back into control by turning me into the problem. My sister blocked me on everything, but she didn't stop talking about me. A mutual friend sent me screenshots I never asked for. Lila. She's always been unstable. Lila. She needs therapy, honestly. Lila. We were just trying to help. Help. The word felt hollow now. The worst part wasn't the lies. It was how believable they were. Because in our family, I'd always been the difficult one. The one who needed space. The one who said no. The one who didn't play along. So when my mother told people I'd had a breakdown, it fit neatly into the story they already expected. One evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Almost. Hello? A woman's voice. Professional. Careful. Hi, I'm calling from a community mediation service. Your mother reached out to us. I closed my eyes. She's concerned about your well-being, the woman continued. She says you've isolated yourself and may be making impulsive decisions. I let out a slow breath. She had me illegally locked out of my own home, I said calmly. I called the police. That's the full story. Silence. I see, the woman said finally. Thank you for clarifying. After I hung up, my hands were shaking, not with fear, with anger. That night, I did something I'd avoided for months. I opened my notes app, and I read everything I'd written after the wedding. Every date, every comment, every moment that made me feel small. Then I added something new. Screenshots, messages, voicemails, Facebook posts, patterns. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth to exist somewhere outside my head. A few weeks later, my mother tried again, this time through email. Long, emotional, carefully crafted. She wrote about sacrifice, about sleepless nights, about how family doesn't call the police on family. She ended with, "One day you'll understand how much you've hurt us." I stared at the screen. Then I replied with one sentence. "Please stop contacting me." She didn't respond. Instead, she forwarded the email to half the family. That's when something unexpected happened. Someone took my side. It was my cousin Emma, the bride. She called me late one night. "I've been meaning to reach out," she said. "I'm sorry it took me so long." "For what?" I asked. "For not saying anything sooner." She paused. "My mom showed me the messages your aunt sent around, the ones about you." I swallowed. And I told her she was wrong," Emma said. My throat tightened. "She tried to defend it," Emma continued. "Said your mom was just worried. I told her worried people don't lie." I didn't trust my voice. Emma wasn't loud about it. She didn't post. She didn't confront anyone publicly. She just stopped playing along. And it mattered more than I expected. Over time, others followed quietly. A cousin here, an old family friend there. They didn't apologize. They didn't announce anything. They just started treating me normally again, as if I wasn't broken, as if I wasn't dangerous.